Are you living the divine life? Many of us are not, and there just might be a few things keeping us from this. Welcome to Living a Sacred Life with Dr. Raymont Anderson. In our program, you'll learn to use the tools that have been given to you to make changes that you need, and by doing so, come one step closer to living that divine life. Now, here is your host, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson.
Raymont Anderson is a Renaissance man in many ways and is a lifelong learner. His eclectic academic career and spiritual path has aided in transforming his own life while also serving as a catalyst to assist others in transforming their own lives. Reverend Dr. Anderson is an ordained interfaith, interspiritual, and New Thought minister. He serves on the Leadership Council and on the Board of Directors of a World Alliance of Interfaith Clergy. He is a certified holistic life coach, a certified angel card reader, and a certified teacher and freelance interpreter of American Sign Language. He's an author, a professional facilitator, and a Reiki master teacher and practitioner. Please help me give a warm welcome to Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson.
Sometimes when I hear all that, I sometimes forget that that's actually me. And the reason that I say that, because how many of you know me? I mean, we may have met, or you may have gone to the website, or we know each other from stuff. Thank God. Thank you. So before I go into actually the teaching for today, I'd like to tell people a little bit about who I am and how I ended up being here. Because it's a very interesting roller coaster ride. So, everyone has a story, correct? Yes. And some people, we have friends, we have family who love their stories. And I used to be one of those. I used to love the story so much that I wouldn't close the book. So I was born March 25th, 1966 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was born the youngest of 6 children. Everyone in my family did drugs, does drugs, sold drugs, made pictures of drugs, took pictures of drugs, sold pictures of drugs, or something with drugs. And when I say drugs, I don't necessarily just mean coke, crack, alcohol, because yes, that was done in the home, but I also mean other drugs. Everyone in the household, everyone in my family, whether immediate or next to family, had a very addictive personality of some sort or another. The household that I grew up in was very abusive as well. Verbally abusive, and at times when my mother would come home extremely drunk, physically abusive. For a great majority of my life, my prayer every night up until I was roughly 32-ish, well, between 27 and 32-ish, my prayer every night was, "Dear God, kill me. Let me die in my sleep." I did not want to wake up to another day of them. I didn't like them. I didn't want to be with them. For a long time, I was like, please help me find my real family. If it's wolves, I'll be okay with it. I really didn't care. If someone would have said, we have no idea, but that tree will adopt you, then Mama, I wouldn't have cared because I didn't want to be with them. That's how much I hated my life. Interestingly enough, my prayer was answered because I did die. That version of me did die. And it happened in a very interesting way. Now, we talk about, especially we New Thought folks, we talk about how things happen in threes. Or, those divine synchronicities that, Yeah, okay, I'll pay attention to this one. So this one day, a friend of mine and I are walking through, now let me 3 steps back. Hi, I'm Ray, and I'm a nerd. The only one. I appreciate that. Namaste. Anyone else? Isn't it funny how when I do the hallelujah thing, I'm a nerd too, but prior to that, Paper, yes. So I love books. So my friend and I were walking through a used bookstore, and being the nerd that I am, I have to touch them. I can't just, oh, look, books. I have to, I love the way they feel and the smell of. So I walk past, and as I take a step, I hear ka-thump. And I turn and look, and there's a book laying on the floor. So I'm not going to leave it there. So I pick it up, and I put it back. And I, ka-thump. Is this an Alan Funk kind of, should I just date myself? Alan Funk, never mind. So I go back, because I know some people, so I go back, I put it back, and I look, because I'm thinking, like library, someone on the other side pushed a book and he pushed this one out. But it was a wall. So I push it back and I push it in, push it again, so I know it's not going to move. And I step, and I walk and I start to turn the corner, I hear thump. And I look back and I said, I'm buying this. I go back and I pick it up. And it was a book called Reaching, The Journey to Fulfillment by an Episcopal minister, priest Morton Kelsey. So I start reading this book and I read it from cover to cover, forward and backward, backwards and forwards. I even flipped it written upside down. There were things in this book that did stuff in my mind that I couldn't even grasp. This man was a traditional minister, expanding my consciousness, talking about, you do know you can change your life. No, that's not, no. I'm a victim of circumstance. You don't understand. My parents do drugs. My brothers do drugs. I'm a victim. I want to stay there. I'm reading my book, cover to cover, my story, my book. So somewhere in there, something tested me and said, if you build it, they will come. If you do this, it will change. Not yet. Suffer. Okay, maybe now. So I give it a shot. You know, I'm a Star Wars generation child. In the words of Yoda, do or do not. There is no try. So, okay, fine. I'm going to go with it. So I put it into practice, and I start seeing things start to shift. I'm like, whoa. How is this possible? So then that book led to Wayne Dyer's book, Real Magic. And anyone here familiar with the book? Okay, in the beginning, and I'm not even going to attempt to quote it, but in the beginning of the book, there's a poem. And it says, what if you had a dream? And in the dream, you went to heaven. And in heaven, you saw a rose, and you plucked that rose. And what if when you woke up, that rose was in your hand? Sort of roughly. That right there, I could get past that poem for about 3 weeks. Because just well, what if? Wow, what if? Because I'm of the generation of, well, what if? Why not? If Gandhi could stop a war by not eating, what if? If Martin Luther King could, and Mother Teresa could, and Mary McLeod Bethune could, and all of these people could, then what if? If there was a time when, how many people in here fly? I don't mean like fly. Because if somebody in here says me, I got Superman power. And let us breathe. How many people fly? Okay. You do realize that there was a time when people would take things and strap it to their arm and jump off of roofs and there are these two brothers, Wilbur and Orville, said, hey, look, the Williamses, they're at it again. And they're laughing at their neighbors attempting to fly. Because prior to that, it did not exist. But these two brothers said, but what if? What if we can change that? And they did. To the point where today, there's this huge metal tube with wings that defies gravity long enough to get you from New York to Tokyo. How is that possible? It's a huge metal tube that defies gravity long enough to take hundreds of thousands of people from point A to point B every day. This gentleman said at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, please turn off all electronic devices. I'm from the generation of, You know where there's a payphone? I'm from the generation of click, 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 click. Click, 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 click. I'm not from the generation, Mom. Where I can just say it and the phone does it. Where I had to carry a phone book to remember numbers versus, oh man, I don't know, because the phone knows it for me. But if we were to go back to ourselves then and say, you do realize that one day, that whole Star Trek thing with the flip phone and it will happen, somebody would have hit you. No. Think of how large computers used to be then. They would fill up this room. Now, memory can be on something the size of a dime or smaller. What if? So I started reading Real Magic and said, well, what if? And I started putting these things to practice. And things started to change. I started to realize that just because my mother came home drunk, I didn't have to suffer. I started reading through the illusion. I started realizing that, wait a minute, I have a choice in this. I don't have to suffer just because they're choosing to outpicture whatever they're choosing to outpicture the way that they are. I have a choice. What if? What if I decide, what if I dare to love myself enough to be happy no matter what? What if I dare to, now, 3 steps back. My father had what's commonly referred to as Lou Gehrig's disease. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Or ALS, for short. Now, I don't know if anyone in here is familiar with it, but it is an extremely traumatic illness. And somewhere in there, I would always say, my father has, my father has, my father has, my father's sick. The doctor said he's going to die within 2 to 4 years, and suffer some more. And I ended up getting involved in martial arts because I didn't want to be the first one home from when I was in middle school. I didn't want to be the first one home to see my father on the floor dead or whatnot. So I would avoid everything possible so as not to be home first. And by default, that led me to studying martial arts because I would go to martial arts schools and observe, yes, somebody else is home now I can go ahead and go home. Now, needless to say, my father lived longer than 2 of the doctors who said he was going to die. And then he got another doctor who said, well, Charles, I anticipate that within the next 2 to 4 years, and that doctor transitioned as well. So my father lived well past their expected date. What if? What if the doctor tells you something and it's incorrect? I had knee surgery, and the doctor said this was going to be the extent of that's it. That's all I was going to be able to do. So what if? So I start to see things change, and one thing leads to another, and then somewhere in there, I realized, long before, because I'm a recovering traditional fundamentalist Christian, my oldest brother is from the school of Pat Robertson, who went to his seminary. My mother refers to us as her bookends. And so my perspective of God and the devil, and I just knew I was going to hell for a variety of reasons. But something started to tweak and shift, and I said, what if what they're saying is not correct? So while I was in college studying to be an art teacher, I went to a Catholic institution. I'm not Catholic, but it was a Catholic school. And so we were required to take a theology course. So I ended up taking 4. I only did 1. I took 4. Introduction to the Old Testament, Introduction to the New Testament, Human Experience of God, and something else. And somewhere in there, this nun walks up to me and says, you do know that the Bible's not correct. I'm done because I'm I'm waiting. She's going to get struck by lightning. Either Pope himself is going to come in and kick her. Because, what did you just say? You do know that, well, the Bible is not incorrect. Our interpretation of it is, what in the world? So I'm asking, what do you mean? I'm hungry now. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean when you say this? So we had long discourse, and she explained that interpretation, allegory, and metaphysical, and what? She said, okay, just do this. Just do this. Do you know anybody who's Jewish? Yes, I have a lot of friends who are Jewish. See if you can talk to a rabbi and ask them what their perspective of the Old Testament is. So I said, cool. So I go do that. First thing out of the rabbi's mouth is, well, do you know who Lilith is? What? What? Whoa. What do you mean? What? So my entire paradigm didn't just get shifted. It got knocked down, trampled on, and I was left in a state of, but if it's not what and that's a great place to be. In that place of divine discontent where you don't know. Because before that, yes, the Bible says it. The pastor said it. I don't know where he got it from, but he said it. I think he's making it up, but it doesn't matter. It is so. I mean, I would defend. And if somebody said, where is it? Where is it in the Bible? Then how do you know it's there? Because she did. I would trust, even though I wouldn't go find. So long before I got involved in traditional Christianity, I didn't realize that I was already on a spiritual path. I was already reading sacred texts. By any chance, you know what that was? Hint, hint. Comic books. Now, because I tell people that comic books are spiritual texts, and people are like, what? But they are. Think about it. I also used to watch, every Thanksgiving, another sacred text by way of film. You know what that one is? Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz. Now, at the time, going through it, watching it, I had no idea that I was in church. No idea. Until this one day, I'm reading something and I'm, attempting this, I don't know, you're supposed to meditate. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti. So I'm doing the whole meditation thing. And at some point I have this realization that it felt like everything and everyone and just, you're enough. And then I heard something the rabbi told me. He said, well, do you know what God's name is? God. He said, silly rabbit. No. What I'm saying is, do you know, no, Rabbi, what is God's name? And he said, I'm not supposed to say this out loud, but we're amongst friends. You'll behave, Father. And I said, huh? He said, you know the story of Moses, how Moses goes to the mountain, and Moses says, okay, so you gave me these, and I'm supposed to take it down to them. Okay, so hold on. When I take it down to them, I know them well enough. Trust me, I know them. They're going to say, so Moses, who sent you with this? They're going to want to know. Who, huh? Yod-Heh. What does it mean? I am that I am. I am that I am sent these 10 commandments to you. Now, and of course they laughed at him or whatnot. But the significance of that is, we often use the most powerful words in creation, the very name of God, I am. And we say, I am sick and tired of. I am bored, I am lonely, I am mad, I am. Versus shifting it, just that one shift will change everything in our existence. And I didn't believe it at first, but what if? What if I consciously start saying, I am, to things that before I would never accept or believe? I am great. I am good enough. Not just good enough, I am goodness itself. How often in the morning do I look in the mirror and I say, oh man, Versus look in the mirror and recognize and realize that it's God looking back at me. God looking through my eyes into the reflection back. God is seeing itself through me. How often do I do that? And I'm talking about then, because I do it all the time now. But I tested it. Put it to the test. Put it to the test. See if. What if? So I started to tweak. And anytime I would go to a restaurant or go to the store and someone would step to me with the realization, their lack of realization of who and what they are, I hold in consciousness for them. You don't know who you are. I'll know it for you. That kept me from getting mad. Now, though I'm not Catholic, I must confess. I do have moments of road rage at times. Now, when I say road rage, I don't mean cursing and, no, I mean I'll sit in the car and I will talk to, dude, why didn't you use your turn signal? Because that's road rage. They can't hear me. But every now and then I remember they're my teacher in this moment to say, Ray, be mindful. Ray, wake up. Ray, realize. And in that moment I say, I do not know why they did not use it for a signal. Blessings and safety on wherever you are going. May you arrive safe. Drive your car. Stay in your lane. But what if? What if what Glenda says to Dorothy at the end of The Wizard of Oz is actually true for each and every one of us? Everyone knows the story, right? Okay, so they're in the balloon basket, and the scarecrow, and the Toto jumps out because he sees a cat, woof, 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 and he runs off, and Dorothy's not leaving Toto. Dorothy's not leaving Toto, so she gets out the basket, and Professor Marvel flies away because he can't control the balloon, and Glenda shows up, and tell me what I need to do, blah, blah, blah. And Glenda says, girl, you told me together 3 times and say there's no place like home. Oh, time out. And the scarecrow says, but whoa, time out. Explain this to me. If she could have gone home from the get-go, why did you follow the yellow brick road? Follow the trees, apples, and flag monkey? Why? And Glenda says, if I had told you then what I'm telling you now, you wouldn't have believed me then. You had to go through what you went through to get to this place where you can now receive this awareness that you had the power all along. No. Not before the house landed, because when I first heard that, not when the house landed in Oz. I'm talking about before the house left Kansas. You had the power all along. You could have been walking on that fence when you fell in with the pigs. You could have the realization right then that you are it. That you are good enough. That everything you think you're seeking, you already are. What if every single morning we woke up and the first thing out of our mouth is, I am God? Literally. What kind of tone would that set for the day? I am God. In the same way that, because often people try to say, no, I got about 2 minutes left. Yeah. People would ask me, well, Ray, explain this whole new thought thing about when you say, you're God. What is that? Explain that to me. Because I don't understand that. Then I say, okay, so let's say God is the scientific principle of water. The scientific principle of water is H2O. God is H2O. H2O shows up in a variety of ways as snowflakes. And each snowflake is an individual. As raindrops, as hail, as sleet, as steam, as a variety of things. Yet, when they return, it goes back to H2O. And they're like, whoa, dude, that's deep. Okay, get it. There's only H2O. And then it manifests as, and then when it's done, it goes back to. Why can't we? What if tomorrow morning, waking up, I am God? And as that, realizing that I am God, every word I speak has power. Every word I speak, every thought I think is created. Because first, Wilbur and Orville, they envisioned it, and then they outpictured it. Walt Disney. So I want to build this, I think I'm going to call it an amusement park. So Walt, where do you want to build it? I want to build it right here in Florida. No, you can't. Why not? It's swampland. It's not possible. And Walt Disney said, but what if? What if we do this? Well, it's never been done before. Well, what if we do it then? Just because it's never been done before doesn't mean it's not possible to do. What if we do it? And they did it. And Walt Disney World was created. George Lucas. George, you can't make this movie. What if? And he did it on his own. How many places, times, people throughout history have done what we typically call impossible? What if tomorrow morning you wake up and realize you had the power all along?
Oh.